Whitney. Who's that girl? It's Whitney Reynolds. Oh, she's got a show. Catch it on the weekends. Every single Saturday, right at noon on Chicago's NBC 5.2.
Hello and welcome to Weekends with Whitney. I'm your host, Whitney Reynolds. We are almost 1 month away from Diabetes Awareness Month, and that's what we are talking about. This young man to my right has done some major things since 6 years old, whenever you found out you had diabetes. Welcome to the show, James and Mary Agnes Zelmer. How are y'all doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm telling you, which we're going to get into what you're doing this year to raise awareness, but you are quite an extraordinary man. Would you say you're so proud of your son?
I really am, yes.
But 6 years old is when you found out that your life was going to be changed. Talk about what it was like when you found out he had diabetes.
You know, he had the typical symptoms that they talk about: thirst, frequent urination, weight loss. But when you live with someone, you don't really see him losing weight. He lost 9 pounds.
Wow.
Which is a lot when you're 54 going down 9 pounds
54
to 45.
Yeah, 40. Wow, that is incredible. And he was 6 years old. And did you have anyone in your family that had diabetes before?
No. He stayed overnight at my mother's house, and I bought him pants to start first grade.
Oh,
and
first grader.
She called me up and she said, "Why are you buying his clothes so big?" And I really didn't know what she was talking about. And he put them on and buttoned them, and they fell right off. That's how much weight he had lost. And I knew those pants fit him in September, and this was now November.
Now, 6 years old is a long time ago.
Yes.
What was that? Do you remember anything from that time in your life?
I do. I remember being very thirsty a lot, and I do remember going into the hospital.
You do? Was that a scary moment? Mm-hmm. It was. I can only imagine. I didn't even like going to the dentist back in the day, but going into the hospital and then finding out that you have something, it can be very nerve-wracking. So 6 years old for you, at your mother's house, she's like, "Why are you buying clothes so big?" Where did that take you?
Well, it was Sunday, and he was really weepy, which is another symptom, very emotional. And so Monday morning came, and he just didn't look right. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was. So I told him, "You know what, we're going to go to the doctor. You're going to stay home." And I really wasn't very concerned, because when I called the pediatrician, I said, "Oh, I can come later today."
Right.
You know, I wasn't in any big emergency. And when we got there, and he kind of took a look at him and he asked me questions, his demeanor changed right away. So I knew something was up.
The doctors did.
The doctors did. And he said, "You know, we need you to go to the lab and get some blood work done." So I wasn't super concerned, because that's pretty normal.
Right.
We went, and the nurse came out and she said to me, "How far do you live from here?" And I said, "Not that far." She said, "You need to go immediately home." And of course you're like,
"Wait,
why?
You need to go home?"
Yes,
with him?
With him. Take him home right now and wait for the doctor to call you. So I said, "Well, can you tell me?" She said no, which was the longest drive and waiting for the doctor to call. And they called and they said, "He has type 1 diabetes."
Did you know what type 1 meant at that moment?
At that time, I had never heard it called that. I had always heard it referred to as juvenile, but it's now called type 1.
And later in the show, we're going to sit down with a dietitian, and she's going to kind of break down the different.
Right.
That's kind of in my mind. I think of diabetes sometimes with an older, maybe person or something, but this
inactive or something. But
yes.
Right. So I really didn't believe that. I said, "Are you sure?" And they said, "You need to go to the hospital right now, because his blood sugars are over 500, which is very dangerous. He can go."
Now, he had never passed out. That was not one of the warning signs that you saw.
I did not see that, but he was on his way. He was well on his way, because in the car he was very lethargic, and by the time we got to the hospital, he was really out of it. He was well on his way.
Wow. So you literally got him in at just the right time.
Right, and kids fall so quickly. They recover quickly, but they go really, really fast.
And that is something so nerve-wracking. As you traveled on this journey, have you talked to parents that they found out because their kid did pass out?
Yes, some people.
That's scary.
I've talked to who were like that. 1 minute they were fine. They were laying on the couch. They thought maybe they had the flu or something, and they would passed out.
Now, we've been talking about you at 6 years old, but now you're 14. When you found out at 6 that you had this, did your mom do most of the work, or did you have to kind of age quickly in the fact that you had to start taking care of yourself as well?
A little of both, but mostly my mom helped me a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say that is literally a second job. You know, you have to really make sure that you're on it, because if there's something that does not go right, a bad outcome could happen.
Yes.
And that's one thing I noticed, that whenever we were pre-taping, that you had to check. Like even before we were getting ready to go on, you had to check that. And that's something that you always do.
Yes.
Wow. How often?
10 to 12, right?
10 to 12 times a day.
10 to 12 times a day. That is absolutely incredible. And then what about schooling? Has it changed the way that, like, have you had to work extra hard at school to make sure that you stay up on it? I mean, I can only imagine 6th grade, going into 1st grade, and not only did you find out, like, okay, now I'm past kindergarten, so I'm in real school, but now I have diabetes to deal with.
Well, school, during elementary school wasn't that tough, because I could go to the nurse and I wouldn't miss that much because we weren't really doing that much. But middle school, it really did step up, and it was hard because I would go to the nurse a lot, and I would miss a whole lot, so I had to get in study hall. So,
Oh, you did get in study hall, so that changed.
So I could relearn it whatever I missed.
You're 14, and I keep thinking about when I was 14, and high school, freshman in high school, driving. What's going on with that? Are you going to get your permit?
Yes, but I have to get the doctor to sign off first.
Okay, so getting the doctor to sign off means that they have to say that he's okay to drive.
He's in good control, and they do that with a test called an A1C test, which is a collective test of 3 months. So they pretty much know how your blood sugars have been over the past 3 months, and if he's not in good control, they won't approve him to drive.
So that's fascinating to me too, in the sense of you've been working with this since you were 6 years old.
Yes.
But it's still never, you can't ever feel overly confident that you have it nailed down. You always have to stay almost alert in a sense. And so this is something that you will be dealing with. What is one thing that is giving you, like hope to know? Is it to help others that are maybe young going through this?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that has impacted his day-to-day life now besides just having to make sure that his blood sugar is always?
I think it's the schedule and the changes, and that he's been diabetic so long that people have sort of forgotten. And because it's manageable, they don't really think about it.
Right.
And when he does need to treat and he is low, which happens frequently, and people forget, and they just think that with all the modern technology, which has been a great benefit, but they think that that's a cure,
Right.
and it's not.
It is not. You always do have to stay alert, and I think that's the biggest thing. And it's fascinating to know about the driving test, and we're going to find out a lot more after this break, and what you're doing to educate others and spread awareness. Guys, you think he's incredible right now, but just wait when we get back from the commercial break. We'll be right back. Does your business need W3's help? Whether it's advertising or video needs, we're here for you. Contact sales at weekendswithwhitney.com.
This portion of Weekends with Whitney is brought to you by Nitrogen Legal PC. Legal help when you need it most. Call 312-698-8909.
Hello, welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. I'm your host, Whitney Reynolds. Today we are talking about diabetes. And in this case, we're talking about type 1 with Jim and Mary Agnes Zelmer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just talked about your story and the transition of finding out when you were 6 years old that you have diabetes, and kind of what life's been like since. Tell us what you're doing.
Well, I started a pumpkin sale we call it Pumpkins for a Cure.
Pumpkins for a Cure.
Yes.
Well, I love the fall time, and I love pumpkins, and your shirt today is screaming that you're ready for this event. So Pumpkins for a Cure. Now, did you help him with this one?
Actually, I didn't. It was Grandma. Grandma
It was
and Grandpa
Grandma.
were farmers in Iowa, like acreage, and his grandma gave him the idea. They did it as a little fundraiser in their town, and we thought it was cute, so we did it in our neighborhood, and it did really well the first year, and it's just grown, and now it's an entire festival.
Now, when we say a cure, like one day making sure that if people do get diabetes, that they can be healed, essentially. Is
That's
that
our
what
hope. That's what we raise money for every day.
That is awesome that you have that hope and spreading the word. So let's talk about this event. When does it take place?
Saturday, September 29th, and Sunday, September 30th.
Okay, so coming up.
Coming up right around
And
the
then what
corner.
are we going to see here? This is in Geneva, Illinois,
It's in
which is
Geneva,
one of the cutest towns
It
I
is,
know.
it is.
It really is like walking out and seeing just cuteness all around you.
Yeah, it's a step back in time. We hosted on the courthouse lawn on 3rd Street.
Oh, wow.
And we'll start with our 10K run, and we have so many things for families, and it's free.
Oh, wow, I love that. How many
It's
years has
free.
this been going on?
8 years.
8 years. So basically,
When
since you found out.
Since he found out,
Wow,
right.
so there was no wasting time when it comes.
Nope.
Yeah, you kind of just jumped in with both feet. And then has it grown every year?
It's grown every year. Now we have thousands of people.
Thousands of people.
And-
Did you ever think you'd be making such a difference?
No.
No. I'm going to tell you, I just can't wait to hear what you're doing when you're 18. Whenever I come to your little graduation, I'll be amazed to see what's going on. So it's grown every year, thousands of people. And you said the run, and then there's a festival?
And then there's a whole festival.
Oh
we have
my
a pumpkin
goodness.
sale, a mum sale. We have entertainment.
This has my name all over it.
all over it.
Mom cell?
Mums and all fall plants. We have a master gardener who puts that together for us. And
love
then
that.
we go into all kids' activities in the morning. We have pony rides and haunted hay rides and petting zoos.
Wow. Now, when you say it's free, how do we raise money for the cure?
Well, you can purchase pumpkins and mum plants for us, and you make a donation.
Wow.
And people come and they're very generous because they know that all the money will go towards research right here at Kovler. So
I absolutely love that. That is fantastic.
people love to help out.
Now, you said it is September 29th.
9th, Saturday, September 29th, and then in the afternoon we host the Harvest Taste, which is a culinary competition between local restaurants. We do a sweet side and a savory side.
Oh, wow.
And we have a professional panel of judges, and then we have People's Choice. So that is really fun.
Well, you're getting my taste buds just going right now. My stomach is probably going to start talking more than I am.
The other great aspect of our event is an educational component, which Walgreens will be out there, Kovler will be out there, and it's a really great opportunity for families and adults that are not sure.
And what a jump start for Diabetes Awareness Month. I think you're
absolutely.
kicking it off right, kid. So thank you so much for coming
you.
on.
Thank you.
Guys, coming up next, we've talked about it. We are going to talk about healthy alternatives, but we're also going to sit down with a dietitian that is going to tell you ways to stay aware of what's going on. We'll be right back. Does your business need W3's help? Whether it's advertising or video needs, we're here for you. Contact sales at weekendswithwhitney.com.
This portion of Weekends with Whitney is brought to you by Celebrity Skin Couture Air Tan. Looking for that perfect summer glow without damaging your skin? Do it the Whitney way, custom airbrushing that is. Stop by at 1652 West North Avenue, right in Chicago, or call 773-697-4833 to book your tan today.
Hello and welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. I'm your host, Whitney Reynolds. It is almost Diabetes Awareness Month. It takes place in November, and we're kicking off things here a little early on Weekends with Whitney. I'm joined by Amy Hess-Fishel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, you have a lot of letters behind your name, but your main thing is being a dietitian here.
That is correct.
Yeah,
yes.
at the Kovler
Kovler
Diabetes Center. And it is
Absolutely.
just absolutely wonderful here. And just looking around, you guys have a passion when it comes to figuring out what's really going on with the youth when it comes to diabetes.
Absolutely. And when we talk about diabetes, over 26 million people in the U.S. have diabetes. 90 to 95% of those have type 2 diabetes. That used to be called adult onset.
Okay.
Whereas 5 to 10% have type 1 juvenile onset, which that is what Jim has. So again, when we look at that, again, the youth are being affected by both.
What's the earliest age that you've seen someone get juvenile diabetes?
Birth.
Birth.
Yes.
Is there any certain reason why that can happen at birth?
Well, type 1 diabetes, now there's lots of reasons, and of course at the Kovler Diabetes Center we do a lot of genetic research, not me personally, but the physicians do. But when we talk about type 1, it's an autoimmune condition, so it can actually happen at any age. So again, when we see the younger, we do see it in younger children more so. When we talk about type 1, it's a very acute onset. So again, it's going to happen very fast. We usually see the kids are going to be peeing a lot, they're going to be drinking a lot, they're going to lose a lot of weight really fast. So with type 1, it's not something that you're going to see over months and months. Whereas with type 2, which we are seeing in kids, again, that does happen a little bit more gradually, but it is family history when we look at type 2.
So you said type 2 you can sometimes see in kids?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
what are the differences between type 1 and type 2?
Type 1 is an autoimmune condition, meaning that the body attacks the cells that make insulin. And so the pancreas no longer makes insulin, so they require insulin to survive.
Okay.
Whereas type 2, again, those 90 to 95% of the total population of diabetes, that what happens is their pancreas is still making insulin, just not doing as good of a job. And it usually happens, they might be, again, they might have gained a little bit of weight. Again, like I said, ethnicities are at higher risk too. So again, if somebody in the family has type 2 diabetes, they might be at higher risk as well.
Wow. Okay, so going forward, if someone sees these warning signs, they come in, they get diagnosed, do you see parents react sometimes like almost as if this is an end-all be-all, or now is it something that this is manageable?
And of course, it is devastating when a parent finds out that their child has diabetes, because
it's something for the rest of their life.
Exactly. And so it's my job and the doctors that I work with to help them to navigate things and make them understand that they're going to be the experts more than we are very soon. So again, it's something that it's a process.
Well, and that's something you can see with Jim and his mom. They have figured it out.
Absolutely. And getting back to Jim is that, again, he's a teenager, and so his insulin requirements are changing constantly. So again, with the teenagers that I work with, I like to hear from them more. So again, when we talk about technology, things over the last 10 years have changed dramatically. We have meters that fit into iPhones, so they can actually upload their blood sugars and send them to us. Or there are actual software programs with the blood glucose monitors that are available that they can send that information to us.
Do people still they still do have to poke the finger to get
Absolutely.
everything? Okay, so there's no way around that.
No.
Sorry, kids.
No, unfortunately, despite what the commercials are saying, they could use alternate site testing, but again, they still have to poke their skin.
Okay, wow. Well, where can people find out more about you and what you're doing here?
Now, there's 4 other educators here at the Diabetes Center, but again, looking at all the doctors that we have coming to the KovlerDiabetesCenter.org, Kovler.
And you said there were 4 other places around Chicagoland?
4 other educators.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Whitney.
Okay, guys, coming up next is something that sometimes you feel like you're going to have to change as soon as you find out you have diabetes. We're talking food right after the break, and I have a feeling you're going to be happy that you can still enjoy everything. We'll be right back. Does your business need W3's help? Whether it's advertising or video needs, we're here for you. Contact sales at weekendswithwhitney.com. Hello and welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. I'm your host, Whitney Reynolds. We are having too much fun in between breaks. I'm joined by Chef Chefdson Allen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are the architect of flavor.
Yes,
is what people call you?
That is what people call me.
Okay, wait. So let's talk about that, because we're talking about diabetes, and sometimes people think that you gotta totally cut out everything fun when it comes to food.
That's true.
But you're saying that's not true.
It's not true at all. You know, I started along my weight loss journey with dispelling the myth that healthy food has to be bland and lifeless.
Oh.
I mean, like most people, I grew up wanting like the greasy bags, but it wasn't good for me.
Oh yeah, I'm that person.
You're that
I run a lot and I have good genes,
Yeah.
but it's going to be really important for me to pay attention on multiple levels during this interview.
Exactly.
Because I am I would probably be the architecture of grease.
Okay.
Our architect of greasy food would be mine. But
Exactly.
you got called that because you know how to still incorporate flavor,
Yep.
yet it's healthy.
It is. And you know, I'll give you kind of the definition behind architect of flavor. It's building these powerhouse flavors designed to transform the way people think and feel about what healthy food really is.
Who came up with that for you?
I came up with it.
I could see that. You're just like,
and it was crazy. I was in bed one night and I said, architecture and flavor. And it spoke to me, and it spoke to the journey that my weight loss journey.
So let's talk about your weight loss journey.
Yeah.
You lost 135 pounds.
I did, yep.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, what is crazy about that is sometimes whenever I feel like whenever you look at yourself, you feel like you can't do it.
Yep.
Like, and even me, like there's things in my life I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But really, you just said, I'm gonna do it? Is that what you said?
You know what? I struggled with weight my entire life.
Okay.
As a kid, as a child, I mean, I was the 10-year-old who was in like husky jeans, like when everyone else was like in normal kids stores, you know, I was in the husky department.
Well, was there anything that you could say there would have been anything different that you would have done when you were a child, or was it just strictly like genetics and it just built up over time?
You know, I think it was this addiction to food that even started as a kid. And I think that kind of honed in my experience of loving to cook.
That's what I was gonna say. This addiction turned out pretty good for you.
It turned out pretty good for me, but I tell people that it started as an addiction to food. Like,
wow.
I wasn't necessarily on the cooking side.
But
I
you
was
just
more on
love
the
food.
eating side.
Yeah, I can say I can be a judge at any food competition.
Exactly.
And speaking of judging, you were actually on the Food Network Star competition.
Yes, that was.
When was that?
That we filmed it actually in January, February, and March.
Wow, so
And
that's
it
intense.
just recently aired. Yep, season 8, and it was probably one of the greatest experiences to date of my life. And you know, I tell people that I started along that journey 3 years ago. I started in 2009, and I didn't make the show, but I kept trying out every year.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
And that's even going along the line of, what we've been talking about today and overcoming, the obstacle that we're talking about today is diabetes.
Yep.
Like even though there's no true, you're going to have it,
Yep.
but still like rising above it and saying, yes, we can manage this. It's a lot different than it was 15 years ago.
Exactly.
And here's my story and here's how we learn from it.
And it's so true.
So talking about your weight loss journey and then coming into the whole throttle kitchen that you're now in and cooking everywhere and people know your name, you're becoming a very household name when it comes to cooking.
Yep.
You never had diabetes.
I never had diabetes, but I was close to it.
You were.
Yep.
Is that some of your passion to cooking healthy?
It is. My father struggled with diabetes. Both my grandparents have it. I was borderline when I was overweight. So
was that a fear that you were worried?
It was, and I'm so glad you hit on that point. It's not a joke, but it's a running thing between my brother and I when we were kids. And my brother used to tell me, he said, if you keep going this path, you're going to end up with diabetes. And he used to tell me this all the time. So it was like diabetes was like what cancer was to some other people.
Right.
To me, that's how I felt. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't get this. If I get it, like life is over for me.
Which we've
This was
learned
when
today.
I was younger. We
It's
learned
not
today that
over.
it's not.
Yeah.
And
But
that
it
we
was
can
a
do
fear.
something about it. But when I was
Right.
younger, it was this fear. And, as I got older and I saw my father, him bringing his weight down, him changing his diet, and him living with the diabetes.
Yeah, living with the diabetes
Yep.
and learning how to cope
And
with
like-
what
exactly.
changes he needed to make.
Yep, eating healthier.
So what does he think of your food?
Oh, he loves it. I mean, he loves it. My whole family loves it. It's like they call on me for every event.
Well, the architect of flavor, I'll be calling on you too.
Please
I'm
do.
telling you, this is some good stuff that we're
Yeah.
talking about. So if people are at home and they feel like either they want to lose weight through eating, but still enjoy all the flavors that food has to offer, or also if they have diabetes, is there a website they can go to of yours to find some of your favorite recipes?
Sure. They can go to www.Judson, Judson, Todd, Todd, Allen, Allen.com.
Oh, wow.
So it's a long one.
Judson Todd Allen, and with a name like Judson, your family's from the South?
Yeah, my grandfather's from New Orleans, so that's instilled in me.
Well, and that is we love our Southern fried food, but now
Yeah.
we're saying there's a new healthier way to do
It's
it.
a new healthier way, and I'll give you this piece. Growing up, I loved catfish. So I loved fried catfish and grits. So what I did was I said, why don't I come up with a method that'll give me that same flavor, that same effect, but with more flavor.
Oh,
So yeah,
and you have developed that.
I've developed
And
it.
it's on your website,
And it's on my website.
JudsonToddAllen.com.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more about you in the days to come.
Thanks so much.
We're really
for
proud of
having
you
me.
here.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, guys, no matter what you're going through, I know we always talk about this here on Weekends with Whitney, but you can overcome it all. And we want to hear your stories, so make sure to go to the Weekends with Whitney fan page. We want to hear from you, all of our loyal viewers. Until next week, we'll see you right back here next Saturday and Sunday.